in today's lecture we'll go through the very important and the key feature of Cinema4D, which is called Mograph, and you can access from here. Click here and you just have a bunch of options. So let's start with the cloner. Cloner, as the name says, it clones object. For example, we create a cube and we reduce the size of the cube a little bit. Okay, and then from here we click and drag, put it inside the cloner. Okay, so now you can see it clones it into 3 objects. So we'll look at the properties of the cloner. The number 1 is mode. Mode has 1, 2, 3 and 4 options: object, linear, radial, grid array, honeycomb array. So by default it is linear. First we come here and we see option count. So if we increase it, you can see now it is increasing the number of clones. Okay, offset means offset in space. For example, now it is offsetting in y axis. Okay, and then the main one is here now. This is in which axis you want to expand. For example, by default it is expanding in y axis with 50 centimeter of distance between each cube. So for example, if our cube is also 50 centimeter, so you can see now it's a straight line. So if I will increase the distance now, so now for example we have 100 centimeter, so now each cube has a distance of 100 centimeter. So if we do not want to grow them in y-axis, we can make it 0 and we can expand in x-axis. Same way z-axis. So now it is between x and z. Sorry, come here, start up. Okay, so this is translation of the cloner. In the same way, the scale is there, so it is scaling in x, in y, in z. Okay, as you can see, it is scaling in not in a straight pattern, it is scaling in like the first one is small, then bigger, then bigger, then bigger, and then the last one is the biggest one. Okay, the next one is rotation. So as you can see, it is rotating. So the end one is rotating completely. The next one is less, and same as the least one is the end one. And the next one is step mode. Step mode, you can see now if I will rotate this, if I will increase the value of on edge, you can see it is actually bending it. Same way. Okay, so this is something linear. Now we can go to the radial. So radial, as it says, it make it in circular pattern. So now from here we can increase the radius, we can increase the number of counts, and from here we can see if you want to align it on ZY or XZ, wherever you want to align. Okay, then you have start angle from where it is starting, okay, and then you have offset. For example, you started from here and then you have offset, and then you can variate the offsetting also. Then you can add seeds also. Okay, and then you have grid. Grid, as it can say, is makes a grid. Okay, in X, Y, and Z you can increase in X, Y, and Z. So you can make it as many as you can, and then you can expand them from here also, or by selecting this dot also. Okay, so this is a grid. The last one is honeycomb, so it's a kind of a pattern. You can see it is dividing actually in a honey pattern. So orientation, if you want this way, if you want on the ground like this, wherever you want. And these are the countings. Okay, now this option in mode, you have two options, per step and endpoint. What is the difference between? So now if I will make it per step, so it will actually, whatever the new cloner is adding, it is adding on, it is start adding from the end outwards. You can see now it's adding end outwards on both sides, so it is maintaining the distance of all of them, which is inside distance. And if I will change it to the endpoint, so you can see it will start adding, the endpoints remain same, fixed, and the additional cloner are actually adding in between them. So the distance of, oh, it's too many. So the distance between the two is getting reduced, so you can see now. Okay, this is the difference between per step and endpoint. So we come to the default one. Let's suppose we make this much only. Okay, this is again offset. Circle, these are the patterns. Okay, and the first one is object. What object means? If you have let's suppose you want your cloner to be look like a spherical face. So what you will do is you will select a sphere and come to the cloner and come more object mode, and then you will click and drag this sphere here. So now what it does is, I will hide the sphere. I will first of all reduce the size of my cube. Let's suppose 555. Okay, so now you can see that my cube is actually attached to, I will come here, I want to see the line. My cubes are attached to the each and every vertex of this sphere. Okay, because from here we have a distribution of vertex. If we change it to edge, so you can see now it is actually following every edge of the object. And if I will come here and select polygon center, so it is actually being the center of all the polygons. And then surface means random, so it is just random on the surface, and I can increase from here like as many as I can. Okay, and then you have axis. What axis means is actually follow the axis. Where the axis is, it will come and form there. So I think for now polygon center is fine. Okay, and then up vector. Up vector is the now you cannot see what is the difference between up vector. For that one we need a cylinder. So for example, we come here and let's reduce the size and also the height. Okay, so instead of a cube I delete the cube and bring cylinder here. So now you can see still it is big in radius. Just reduce the radius a little bit and the height as well. Okay, so now you can see that my distribution is polygon center, and actually the cylinder is stick to the surface of the object. I want this to be facing outward, so I'll come here and change direction to Z. No, X, Z plus, Z negative. Okay, so actually it is changing the orientation of this one. To change the direction, come here and change from here, transform, and then change your p value to 90. So now you can see it is facing outward. Okay, and actually it is taking the center of your pivot and sticking to the edges. So now you can see it is 50% inside the object and 50% out. Still you can bring them out by transforming, I think, z-axis. Yes, so now you can see one tip. If I will press alt and drag, so I can add the in points, values in points. By default, Cloner is reading each and every object as individual object. If I will click render instances, it will actually what is the benefit of render instances is it will actually make instances of the object instead of reading as individual objects. So if you have a big scene and your file is getting heavy and you don't all your cloner or all your objects are same, so better check this on, so it will keep your file very light. Okay, this is Cloner.